Welcome back, everybody, to another edition of the Cats Coverage Basketball Podcast. We've got all three of us. I can't remember. We had all three of us last time, didn't we?
I was out. I was sick.
Oh, there you go. I knew something was. I thought it was the last time we weren't. Tim was behind the scenes running the show. Wasn't on camera. Like you said, he was sick. But we got the full trio back now for this one. Fresh off of two more ranked wins. The most recent last night coming against Texas A&M. Ranked 11th in the country. Kentucky hosts them inside Rupp Arena. Kentucky wins 81-69. They're now 5-0 in top 15 matchups against the AP top 15. 5-0 and 5 chances. Michael, impressive win last night. Another Jackson Robinson game. The best 2-game stretch he's had at Kentucky. How was that game for you last night against the Aggies?
Yeah, I think he was asked. Pope was asked in the presser, like, is this the best you've ever seen him play? Right? Because he, of course, comes over. He was with Pope at BYU. It probably is the best he's ever played. And if he can keep doing this, that's huge. This time a week ago, this is exactly what we were asking for, right? I mean, we were calling him out. We were like, Jax, where's Jax? We've done it earlier this season on the pod. We were like, Jax is supposed to be this guy, this fringe second-round pick who, could have got picked but came back and was supposed to be a bucket and just disappeared a lot of times. And they talked on the broadcast about, the struggles he was going through, inside his head. And he just went out there and he became a dog. I mean, 2 back-to-back 20-point-plus games. That's huge. I wasn't at the game. Jordan, our other guy, our other sports guy, he used to cover Texas A&M when he was down working in Bryan College Station. So he had to be there. So he covered that game. I was in studio, but it sounded like the crowd was rocking. It sounded like the place exploded when Travis Perry hit that 3. So it's just like you just love these Rupp games, man. The crowd's awesome in the SEC. You power through the brutal non-conference against, all these, nobodies. And then you get SEC basketball, which is even better this year. So I'm excited for Saturday against Bama. Place is going to be rocking too. So, but a good win for the boys. Back-to-back big wins.
Timo, we were in there last night, me and you watching that game.
Timo.
After the game. Yeah, I had to steal Michael's nickname for you. How'd you feel about that, Tim?
Oh man, like that Perry 3 and Ortega's dunk. It's just one of those moments that the broadcast does not capture how loud it is there. I mean, that place was rocking after both of those things, and especially Travis's second 3 there in the second half where he hit it. Crowd was rocking there too. Oh man, it was so loud. But yeah, I mean, Jackson, he's out there. He's not thinking about it. He said it himself. He's just out there to play ball. He's going to keep shooting it. Even if he misses his first 3 or 4 shots that game.
Yeah.
He still came out and dropped
22.
Yeah. Yeah.
Back-to-back 20-point games. I think he had 27 down at Mississippi State. His career record is 28, so he just was short of that. Had a 22-point game now. And then, like you were saying, I put out a tweet during the game. There is not a crowd pop that gets louder for unless it's Travis Perry or Trent Noah doing something in the game. And just Travis Perry hit those 3. I think he hit 2. I don't know if they were back-to-back, without missing. But, like, the whole building was shaking. I mean, I know out on a high street in front of Rupp Arena, the cars going by, they felt that because that was ridiculous. And then, Tim, for anyone that's not seen it yet, you've stop what you're doing now, quit watching us and click you see the Cats Coverage logo right there. Go to our page. Tim took some pictures of Ortega always dunk. Absolutely phenomenal. And
fire.
Yeah. I mean, Tim is how many years have you been taking pictures for us now? Is this your second season?
This is my second full season. Yeah.
And, I mean, like putting out pictures like he's been doing this for 30 years. Quality pictures of Ortega's dunk, like 4 different options of him stretching back, throwing it down and committing an absolute murder on that guy. And, now for the media that don't take pictures or on the sideline, we're up at the top. And granted, I'm grateful to be in the building, but like my back's against the top of Rupp. So I had a far angle and I saw him. He came over to the goal on my end of it. And I had the perfect angle for being that high. I just saw him body him completely. And it was so filthy. And one thing I realized is that he's been trying to do this the last 3 games, maybe. I know at Georgia, he went up to junk on somebody and got blocked. He did it again, I think, against Florida. He's tried consecutively and had great looks, but then the defense just made absolutely great plays 3 or 4 times in a row. He finally got one off. Ortega, it did look like it was in jeopardy. But he finally got he's kept the streak alive for getting more than 10 points in a game. Phenomenal. My favorite player on this team by far. So I can talk about Otega all day, but throw it back to you all, Michael, so I don't keep rambling. Jackson Robinson was a big headliner, but who else stood out to you? Lamont Butler was great as well.
Yeah, well, it's good to see guys power through bad starts. And I think Pope mentioned it after the game as well. Like, after the first few shots, missing those, some guys would just let them determine, okay, it's not my night. And Jackson missed some early shots. Otega really wasn't scoring all game, really, especially all first half. But these guys powered through and finally got it going in the second half, especially Jackson. I just think he takes this team to a different level because you know what Otega's going to bring. And him waiting until the 39th minute of the game to get his 10th point is pretty rare. Like he just hits that earlier and he scores more. And Lamont only scoring 6 points is rare, but he was distributing. He was getting beat up. I mean, he was getting bruised and battered, but not unbowed. And I think his determination was great. And then Amari was huge down low. All those guys chipping in to be better on the glass. A&M started horrible in terms of offensive rebounds, but then got more and then went on that run there in the first half. And I was like, A&M was kind of controlling it, but they got back. They were more physical and got on the glass and won the rebounding margin by 8, I think. So, or maybe more, maybe 10. So, yeah, it's huge. The physicality is huge. And, we were calling them out. Like, are they just going to be a team that, only plays well at home and scores 100 at home, but then misses on the road? And they respond with the big Mississippi State win in a tough environment. You get that one on the road. Your shots are falling on the road. You hit 16 threes, and it's like, wow, okay, maybe they can do this. And then at home, your shots aren't falling. So it's like, whoa, but then eventually they started falling, and those guys worked hard. It's so tough to play these back-to-back really, really tough, talented teams. And then you look at, like, Duke playing, these ACC nobodies. And, no disrespect to Cooper Flagg dropping 42. Like, that guy's an absolute beast. And I'm so glad I got to see him in person. But, like, you have these easy nights in these other conferences, and you actually don't in this league. I mean, the easy night is going to be Arkansas, ironically. Like, Arkansas kind of sucks. And, like, Cal's 0-4 in the SEC. So that one, LSU, South Carolina, maybe those are your only off nights in the whole league.
Yeah. Andrew Carr, I mean, as you can tell, as people have he's dealing with a back injury right now. I wouldn't even say injury, just, back issues, spasms. Anybody that has back problems know that, what it's like, how it just kind of lasts for a while. And he's the second game in a row that I've seen where he doesn't sit on the bench at all. When he's out, he stands over there at the end of the bench with his back brace on, trying not to get tight. But I mean, he's still been great. Just going off the stats of Texas A&M, I mean, he finished with 13 points. He only had 4 rebounds, but I mean, still fighting these people with back problems. I don't know if I can go get 13 points under the rim without back problems myself, and he's done great. We were just talking about the rebounding there. Amari Williams had 12 boards. I think me and Tim were talking before that. I think he had 12 or so down at Mississippi State as well. Amari Williams stepping up too. And Michael, what you were talking about earlier is with Jackson Robinson, we did call him out a little bit. Right? I know I definitely did. If I was kind of hard on him, we called him out a little bit before that Mississippi State game, and I can go back and clip it if we want, but I'm paraphrasing, but I said something along the lines of, what if he has one of those games on the road where he just goes off and then he finds his confidence, and I'll be damned if that wasn't the next game. So, I mean, I got lucky. Every blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while.
Yeah, you can brag. Pull up the receipts. Yeah, it's a good call. We were both like, we thought he had it in him. We knew he had it in him. It's just we weren't seeing it after the Duke, he only gets 2 points and then only 5 at Georgia. And, Clemson, he hit like a couple early and then like disappeared. And I'm in the building at Clemson, like, where's Jax? Like, bro, just get to the cup, do something. And he made a couple, but he has this in him, and it takes the team to another level for sure.
I want to get both of your thoughts on this. Tim, we're going to start with you to throw it back to you. Jackson Robinson, he's had his best 2 games at Kentucky so far. Respectfully, I'm still under the impression, I'm sticking with my statement of, I don't think he's the guy, the guy that, I'm still sticking with the Lamont Butler case. Do you also agree, Tim? Start with you. Do you think that the narrative of Jackson Robinson is Kentucky's guy, should be the guy? Do you believe that at all, or are you on my side, or what do you think?
It's too early to say. I mean, he's not the guy right now. He's had 2 back-to-back stellar games, but if he does this for 6 games in a row, maybe we'll start talking about him being the guy. But I'm in agreement with you that it's more so Butler, holding it down on the offense, on the defense. Offensively, I think our guy is Ortega. I mean, dude can get a bucket almost anytime he wants. Is going inside. He's a pretty good shooter as well. So, not the guy yet, but keeps it up, might be.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't. It's, you can't really say one's the guy. It's not like Cooper Flagg's the guy. Or like Mark Sears is the guy for Bama. Like, yeah, I feel like it doesn't have to be that way. And it would come down to Ortega or Jackson or Lamont. But Ortega is probably your best all-around player still, but Lamont as a two-way player is probably the best two-way player. But it really doesn't matter. But at the end of the day, Jackson for sure could be like the guy that gets the last shot. Because you're gonna have a close game, and it's gonna happen once or twice this season where like you got one possession, who's taking the last shot? Like that should probably be Jax, but Pope, we've seen him draw up some pretty nice stuff, and that play at the end of the first half was a nice play drawn up by Pope. So, throw it in the middle, then kick it out. I can't remember. It was Jax who hit it. Yeah, and then points at the A&M bench again. I was like, I'm surprised he didn't get ejected. He really should have been. Like if you're gonna call a tech once, he did the exact same thing. They don't call it the second time. I understand why Buzz was ticked off and barking at the refs because he probably should have been ejected at that point, which is, could have changed the game pretty dramatically. But the rest of the guys really stepped up in the second half.
I just want to know what's going on with that. That's his former coach. He was on that team in, I think, 2020 to 2021 or something like that.
Yeah, but he didn't do it at Buzz. Like the broadcast was saying at Buzz and someone else said it, but like, it wasn't at Buzz. It was at the players because the players probably barked. They were like, brick or no way or hell no. And then he makes it. So then he's like, he's just doing whatever. But it wasn't at Buzz. I looked at it on the broadcast and it wasn't at Buzz. But like Jimmy Dykes said it was at Buzz, at his old coach. It's like, no, I don't think he did it directly at Buzz. I think he just did it at the bench. So I like it. I like the fire. He shouldn't have done it a second time, but I like him doing it the first time. It shows confidence. It shows that, like, he might be here. Like, maybe he's arrived. If he could do this consistently, not 20 games consistently, but double figures consistently and really have an impact on the game and be, like, that fourth scorer, then you're good. I mean, this team, and they need him to be that, especially in March when you just need a guy to just knock down some shots and just get tough shots. And it seems like he could do that.
I will say when I watched the replay back that it was that corner 3 whenever he had first gotten that technical. So when he was about to pull up, there was an assistant coach that was like barking at him a bit and like he's standing up as the shot's going up. So then when he hits it, it kind of looked like he just turned around and like swiped him off, like telling him to sit down or something. But yeah, then that's when he got the technical. But then the second time, he did the celebration. I think it's kind of been popularized by Mikal Bridges. It's kind of like almost like a gun, not really. It's just kind of like this more so towards the bench. I'm surprised.
But then at that point, like the brandishing a weapon was a big thing in football, right? In college football this year.
Yeah.
A little bit in the pros, but more in college. Because, last year in college, like Dane Key was doing that and like Barryon, so then eventually they had to do something. So if you're doing that versus that, like, I mean, come on.
Scissors. Rock, paper, scissors.
I mean, come on. But like, I thought it was great that Jax did it, but he didn't do it at Buzz directly in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
You missed it. Put your scissors back up. Bob. All right, I just had to get you there. Hey, that would, like you said, that would make sense if it wasn't at Buzz Williams. Can y'all hear me echoing, or is it just me?
No, you're good.
it would make sense that it wasn't at Buzz Williams because he had nothing but nice things to say in the press conference after. He said he has a great spirit about him, that his family is great and all that. So I could see that. I did also like Buzz Williams' post-game comments. He sat there and straight up said, "This is the best job in college basketball." He said, "I don't think anybody here would disagree with that." And then he said he absolutely loves studying film on Mark Pope's basketball team. Said it's been an absolute joy to watch them and study them this week because of how excellent they've all been and how Mark Pope's and his staff has elevated them to another level. Like that's a crazy compliment to have. And he thinks that they could have a run to a national championship. And like, there is such thing as coach speak in the world, but like Buzz Williams is a really smart guy. I remember I noticed that down at the SEC tournament, he really like takes in and reads a lot, and he's real analytic and real doesn't show a lot of emotion. I think the stuff that he says has a lot of value to it. I don't think he's just saying it to say it, because what's he gain from that? I don't think he gains anything. Anything you could say could gain negative, because I'm sure the whole athletic department there don't want him saying this is the best job and this team's going to go be out to the national championship and all that. But like, he had a lot of great things to say about Kentucky.
I would say that I loved his comment about Amari. I can't remember who asked the question first. It may have been Aaron Gershon, but he asked about Amari, and he's like, "Oh, I don't know about the names. Like, let me look at the roster, the box score, make sure I know the number." He's like, "Oh, 22. Yeah, I love that guy. Like, his usage rate, that tall, as a left-hander, you don't see that anywhere." I mean, it seems like if you ask him any question, he's going to throw a stat back at you about it. And, he's incredibly smart. Like you, Trace, down to the SEC tournament, that was really my first interaction with him. Then that was my introduction to him, I guess. Yeah, he's just great guy, incredibly smart. It's always a pleasure to listen to him and his ideas.
Yeah, and I was a little worried that he was going to get in foul trouble there, Amari. I mean, he got 2, and then he got 2 late in the first half, and I thought he was okay, but like he picked up his 3rd kind of early in the second half, and I was like, all right, like this can't happen again, because that's what happened kind of at Georgia, right? And then he almost got his 4th, but luckily he didn't. Garrison, he had his great game last week on the road, but he kind of struggled in this one. He got that big dunk at the end, but made some turnovers, and so you're still a little weary of, if Amari does get in foul trouble, then what's going to happen. Is BG ready to step up? Carr had a good game, but you kind of need one of those 2 bigs on the floor at all times, like with Carr. And so they're still figuring that out. But I think they don't want to be a team that only relies on hitting shots. Like, if they make shots, they win. If they're going to miss their threes, they're going to lose. They're finding other ways. And I like Jackson shooting that little mid-range on the baseline. I think they could shoot more long 2s if they wanted, even though that's, a sin in basketball now. But, if they're missing those 3s, they could just take a couple steps in. Those are some backup plans. But they look good. I'm just excited to see them this weekend. Bama's going to be a little ticked off, losing at home yesterday to Ole Miss. So they're, Sears is going to come in ready to hoop like Clayton just did, for in the Florida game, and we'll see if the rest of the team for Bama can step up and put up some points. But I know Sears is going to come in and like light it up. So I think that's a big one. If you emerge from this really, difficult stretch, 4-1 to start SEC play, you're looking pretty good, because then you got Vandy, then you got at Vandy, then at Tennessee, which is obviously really tough. But then you got Arkansas, which will just be like a fine win at this point. Like, I'm not going to get ahead of myself, obviously, but it looks like that you should win that game and have some fun with it too. So you're looking pretty good if you can get a win here on Saturday, but it's not going to be easy, man. Bama's still real good, and even though they lost at home, Sears and those guys are going to come in ready to hoop. So it's going to be a fun one.
I saw something online today. Somebody made a point, one of those UK burner accounts, and it said, in back-to-back games is the Tennessee game and then Arkansas. And I have confidence we're going to win the Arkansas game. But, like, could you imagine what Kentucky world would be like when if you lost back-to-back Tennessee, then Arkansas? Like, you just got to log off social media for that few days. Bama, they're going to be ranked number 4, even though they lost. They're still going to have that 4th ranking when they come in to Rupp this Saturday. With the poll coming out 2 days after. So if you do beat them, that's your biggest win on paper of the season. We beat 2 ranked 6 teams, Florida and Duke, but Gonzaga was 7th, I believe. But part of me kind of wonders of like you're perfect 5-0 against these top 15 teams. You've beat a bunch of ranked teams. You beat them all, and then number 4, Bama comes in. It's like it's hard to picture a good team like that losing back to back. Like I don't think Kentucky would lose back to back either type of thing. But and then Kentucky's just waiting for that streak to be broke. Bama's like, we're not gonna lose back to back. That kind of concerns me. Like I would almost rather them not got beat coming in because that's got to end for somebody at one point. But that's just over analyzing things from afar.
Yeah, I feel like Bama's ready. Bama's ready to come in, but if you hit your shots, you're fine. Really, as I said last week, like I think this team's going to be really, really tough to beat at home. Like they really could run the table at home. And these road games, they're going to lose some. They're probably going to lose at Tennessee. Maybe not, but he lost by 30 to Florida. But that was in Gainesville. Tennessee at home is going to be really tough, especially with that defense, man. That defense is going to get in the grill of UK shooters and force them to make some tough twos, and really probably not going to hit a lot of threes in that game unless they're a couple feet behind the arc. Because Tennessee closes out really well. They're one of the best defensive teams analytically in the nation. So that'll be a tough one, but I think you can win this Bama game, man. It's just gonna, come down to being gritty. Every team is gonna rebound, maybe better than you on the offensive boards. I mean, your UK's ranked pretty low in D1 and in offensive rebounds. So, but they got some of them here in the A&M game. So they're going to have to just keep being extra physical and keep forcing it. And Amari's been great on the boards, but you need other guys to come in and crash as well.
And I was going to say, I remember like last year we were talking about the Bama game and saying that it's going to be like an absolute shootout. And we ended up killing them that year. This year, I don't think that's going to happen, but similar, I mean, they play at an extremely fast pace, and I think we're at our best when we're playing at an extremely fast pace. So there's a good chance it's going to be a shootout this year as well. And, kind of touching on those boards there, we've had, what was it, last game versus A&M, Jackson Robinson had 8, and then against Mississippi State, Ortega had 8. So we're getting those guards crashing in a lot more. Those longer rebounds are helping out a lot. So it's good to see that margin's kind of closing down some. And the fact that Amari Williams has had 24 rebounds these past 2 games, and yesterday having 12 in just 23 minutes was very impressive for him. He's using his body a lot more, getting in there. And Mark Pope made like a really good comment about how at Drexel, he's the biggest guy out there on the court, couldn't ever really do that. But now he's playing against SEC guys, so he's getting a lot more physical. He's getting those boards. It's good to see,
So tell me if I must have missed some part of this news along the way, because we were interviewing the players last night and people were I think they brought up on their own. Jackson Robinson and Travis Payer both brought it up about they're hearing the narrative of people calling this team soft. Did I miss something along the way? I've not heard that once, but they both brought it up on their own. Was there something that I missed?
Yeah, so I was at the Monday availability previewing the game, and Perry and Ansley Almanor both talked about it, which kind of proves the point of they say that, they don't listen to us and they don't hear us, they don't hear the noise, but they do. They all do. Like they all have social media and they're on it and they're hearing, that buzz that maybe this is a soft team. And even from the fans, it's not just the media, like it's the fans too that are pissed off and after a Georgia game like that and calling them soft, and the rivals fans are calling them soft. So yeah, they hear it, and they said that Pope addressed it. Like Pope talked to them before the Mississippi State game and said, hey, if they want to call you soft, there's only one way to change that, and it's to change it on the court. And they proved it so far these last 2 games. But yeah, they hear it. They hear the noise. They say that they don't, and more so on the pros, they kind of don't actually, like they actually don't because they're grown-ups. But, that at this stage, they're still young, they're still kids, and, they still get their feelings hurt if they hear something and get criticized. So props to them for being motivated to change it.
I must have, I must have missed that. I didn't know that was the narrative going around right now. I know they're weak in the posts and stuff, and I know they're getting out rebounded a lot. I guess that's what they're saying. The SEC is going to be tough.
Well, we talked about it last week. I mean, we didn't call them soft, but we talked about it. We were like, all right, what's the deal on the boards? Like, are they going to keep giving up all these offensive rebounds? And because if they are, they're going to struggle. And like that combined with not making their shots, that's a losing recipe in this conference. So we talked about it on our pod that they got to get more physical. And
True.
Not that they can't be soft. We didn't call them soft, but we almost did. I almost did. I did on Fox 56 too. I was talking about it all week.
So it was you, Michael. They're talking about you.
I don't think they watch me, but I think they just hear it on social media, really on Twitter. But yeah, for sure, they have to be more physical, and they have. But they weren't in Georgia. They were soft. You could call they were soft in that Georgia game, and so they're motivated to change that.
Good. I mean, my answer to that is good. They need to be because I guess we talked about, we've been saying they're not physical enough, but other people have translated that same word to soft. So I guess I understand where it's coming from now. They do need to be more physical. I'm glad that Pope addressed it instead of letting this stuff linger on game after game. A lot of times we saw our issues linger on season after season on the last coach, but I'm glad Pope addressed it. Said, no, we're not being soft anymore. And he came out in his post-game press conference and said they have some award going on in practice now. I think they give it at practice following the games or something, where it's whoever takes the most hits, and they're saying the hits are boxing out people. Essentially, you're just getting a touch on the board even if you don't get the rebound. And Ainsley Almanor is apparently 2 for 2. I don't think he said who's getting it for this last game, but they're addressing it. This is our biggest weakness, and they're saying let's be better, and that's what I want from my coach.
Love it. Great idea from Pope. I love that. Right, just a little bit of extra little gratification. Because they all got to do it. And if they do it, then size, the height doesn't matter. I mean, size doesn't matter. I was like, all right, pause. But, but seriously, they're not a small team. They have height. They don't have height, and they don't have as much height and length as other teams. But, when Ansley's in there, that helps. And for him to actually wake up and hit a couple shots is huge. Because if he's just a 0, you just can't really play him. And then you got to just play an extra guard. But when he's out there, if you can play him and AC and either Amari or BG, then it's okay, you actually have something there. You have actually some size that could give some teams some problems. Otherwise, you really don't have a lot of size. But if you're going to be physical, it doesn't matter.
Michael, since you brought up that good point about Ainsley Almanor, his big game down at Mississippi State, I think he hit 3 threes. They were in the second half. They felt huge when it happened. I kind of want to circle back because as we talked when we first got on here, the last time we recorded is right after that Florida win. So we've missed Mississippi State, Texas A&M. So real quick,
no, we did the Georgia loss. Oh, yeah, we taped right after the Georgia loss.
Yeah. Mississippi State win on the road. Let's recap that a little bit because that's a big part of the season. Some are arguing that's the biggest win of the season. It's definitely top 2 for sure. True road win at number 14, Mississippi State on their court. That game was huge. The breakout Jackson Robinson game where he had 27 points, however many threes. He tied Dante Allen. Y'all, I know we all remember that Dante Allen game. 7.
Yeah, 7 for 10.
Wow. That was a cold chill game from Dante Allen that game. And he just tied him. Phenomenal game. And then Ainsley Almanor had those threes. I think, was it Brandon? Amari Williams had near triple-double. He had 12, 12, and 6 or something like that. And then, you add another quad 1 win to your resume. That game was phenomenal. Do y'all think that's the biggest win of the season, or where would y'all put that if you had to tab it?
Top 3. I mean, where it was such a hostile environment, crowd was going, and I mean they stayed hot on the offense. Their offense looked so good that game. So I mean, and they played real physical too. That was kind of like what we're just talking about, kind of their breakthrough game when it came to their physicality. So they played a lot more tough, hostile environment. I'd say top 3.
Yeah, with I think with bracketology, the Duke wins number one, and it's not even close, right? Like that win on the resume, even though it'll be 5 months, once March comes around, like it'll have been 5 months ago. Like that's still like that win, man, for your like basically first game to beat Duke and beat Cooper Flagg was pretty cool. Even though, as we talked about, Cooper Flagg's a different player now than he was in that game, and he'll be a different player in March than he is right now. But that's the biggest win, really, I think, because it just kind of like you arrived, like you're here. This Pope stuff, it isn't all like fake love and like just kind of buzz of a new coach and kind of like we're just pretending to have hope because we're sad that Cal's gone. Like, no, this was actually the real deal. Like you arrived, you got a win in the Champions Classic on Duke. And so that one was huge, I think, for just confidence and just belief of Pope and everything they did in the offseason and this whole group of misfits coming together.
Let me ask you this about that Duke. Do you think the tournament people would if they're going to give Kentucky an excuse and try to discredit it essentially, because it was a big win. It was the first big win under Pope. What do you think of the argument of you caught Duke when their identity's unknown, it's early, everybody's just pieces trying to come together? Do you buy any hype into that?
Well, I mean, it's the same for UK, right? It's the same for every team. So if you're going to use that argument, then you have to do it for losses and you have to do it for every team. So it really is invalid. Then you have to credit Kentucky for winning a big game when they didn't have their identity themselves. So I think that, not to discredit your point, it's a good point, but I don't think that it matters. And I think Duke's going to be 1 seed. They're going to win the ACC. Yes. And so you're going to have a win over a 1 seed. I don't see Gonzaga being that high. Maybe they're a 3 or a 4, but if you can beat Tennessee, maybe they're a 2. Florida, they were saying Florida was going to be a 2, like fringe 1, until they lost last night. And so they'll drop down a little bit. But all of these wins are going to be like 1 through 5 seeds. These SEC wins, like maybe Mississippi State drops down to 6 and A&M drops down to 7 or 8. But, just because everyone, so there's going to be a disparity. There's going to be like a tier 1 and tier 2 in the conference. And it seems like tier 1 is like Bama, Auburn, Tennessee, Florida, and Kentucky. Kentucky counts there. And then you would think maybe that second tier then is like Ole Miss, Mississippi State, A&M, and I'm probably forgetting someone. But Ole Miss is arguing that they're number 1. I mean, they're undefeated in the league. They just beat Bama in Tuscaloosa. So that's going to be a tough – and I think that game is at Ole Miss that UK plays there. That's a tough – I mean, if they keep on winning, who knows? That could be a really tough game. Maybe they start sneaking up in bracketology. So all these games are going to be nice on a resume. And I think the committee is just going to fawn over the SEC and give all of them pretty good seeds because you have to for them. And the Big Ten isn't looking that great. I mean, they're solid, but, Michigan State's rolling. Let's go green. But no, the Big Ten's all right, but ACC is not that good. The Big 12 isn't as good as it has been in past years. So SEC is king right now. And the Mississippi State one was huge just for them to finally get that first like true road win. Because if they didn't, then it's like, oh gosh, then you're going down to Tennessee. That's an automatic loss. Then you come back, so then your Vandy is basically a home game. That crowd is all blue. So it's like, okay, you still haven't won in a tough road environment until February. Like that would have been tough for that to kind of linger. So it's good that they just got it out of the way.
Well, while we're hitting on the Mississippi State game, I'm sure you all seen the video. That video went absolutely viral of, let me preface it a little bit. Mark Pope gets his 200th career win as a head coach. You'd think you'd be celebrating for that. Look at me, I got 200. No, not at all. After the win, he comes out like he's been doing, takes pictures with fans, autographs, signs all the fans that made the trip down to Starkville and who live down there, et cetera. And then I'm sure you all saw the video of the guy in the wheelchair up at the top concourse. Walks all the way up there, went over and talked to him, sat down with him. That was just like, man, I was sitting there kind of like, who's cutting onions? No, it was really, really cool. I mean, that I think they said the guy in the wheelchair was 16 or something. I might be wrong on that, but that absolutely had to make his day. You know, the head coach comes up to you, makes the effort to come all the way up there to you to see you, and that's gonna change that kid's life. He'll never ever forget that. And his mom was halfway crying. She's like, "This means everything," and that was just a really really cool moment. And I that's just, you know, he didn't know that was going to be out there, and he's done a million things like that already. But that was really really special. We've just got to hit that and just acknowledge that, because I felt remiss if we didn't.
Yeah, and I think Pope understands that, you know, like meeting with these fans, taking pictures with them, talking to them and everything, that's making their day. You know, attending a game is just one part of it, but being able to actually, you know, meet the coach and even sometimes the players, it's always making those people's nights. It's something they're going to talk about for their entire life, you know.
For sure. I mean, he set the bar high though, buying people ice cream. I mean, it's hard to get better. I don't know. I mean, you could go up and hang out with him but that ice cream was real deal. But no, I love Pope, man. I really hope, me, you know, even not being a fan, I just really hope that Pope does well, because like he deserves to go down in Kentucky lore. You know, I really hope he does. And, you know, of course he did as a player, but if he does it as a coach, he just reaches a different level. And, you know, then if he could somehow win a title and join the likes of, you know, Rupp and Joe B and Pitino and Tubby and Cal, you know, those five, and anyone else besides those five just doesn't matter. If you don't win a title here, it doesn't matter. And, you know, I was really feeling bad for Reed last night, because you know, the paper, they do their Kentucky Sports Figure of the Year every year, and they have the media submit their votes. And so I was putting my votes in, and I don't know if we're allowed to like tell. I think they don't care, but I put Reed fourth. I put. I think they said that like the ballots will be public if you leave comments. So I left comments for each selection. So I did Kenny McPeak number one, because, you know, like for him to do the Kentucky double, like the legendary Oaks Derby double, that was pretty awesome, and first trainer to do that since the 50s, and Lexington native. But I think if Reed won like a couple tournament games, of course, if he made a Final Four or won it all, like Reed would have been number one, like forever. Like they really wouldn't have been close. But I just put him down to like four. I did like Sidney McLaughlin two, and then I think Nick Mingione three. Like his run, you know, leading Kentucky to, you know, College World Series, getting him to Omaha, when he was told when he got hired by people that he'd never get them to Omaha, and he did it. Like that was really awesome. And Kentucky Proud Park was like the hottest ticket in town in May and June. But then I did Reed fourth, and I was just like, everyone loves him, and he suited up for the school that his dad won 2 national titles for, and everyone loved him, loved every minute of him being here, and he exceeded expectations, even though his last game was one to forget. You know, his last game was one to forget, but the memories won't be forgotten as he goes on and hopefully plays in the NBA for years to come. I think that was my little caption. And it's just tough, because he scored 2 points against Oakland, and he just the whole team, they pooped their pants. They just didn't deliver. But Reed was like that kid, you know, the Kentucky kid. Everyone loved him, and he should have gone down in Kentucky lore, and he still will. You know, he was a great player and another lottery pick, but it's just not the same. It's never the same. And so basically I ramble, but I bring that around the Pope, because the potential for Pope to accomplish that is there too. He'll go down in Kentucky lore. And I don't know if it happens this year. I don't know if it happens next year with this good recruiting class he's got coming in, maybe years down the road. But whenever it does, I do hope it does, and I hope he wins here, because he's a great guy. And the stuff he does with the fans, you can tell he loves the fans more than other coaches love their school's fans, because they just got hired at that school, and they just work at that school, and they're coaching at that school. But Pope played here, and he loves this school, and he loves these fans. He played in front of these fans, and he wants to give them a smile every single game, every single opportunity he has, which is why it was really cool that he went up there and hung out with that fan in the wheelchair, and he he signs balls just like Cal and others did, but to get the free ice cream and stuff. Like it's the small stuff that lets everyone just put a smile on their face, and him doing the interviews with us, the sit down interviews over the summer and when he got hired, and in the press conference, like, gosh, 20,000 at an introductory press conference. Like, what in the world is that? It's got to be Guinness Book of World Records. That's a record. So, the love for Pope is real, and I love it. It's just, he's just got to deliver in March. And if he does, then he'll be in Kentucky lore, and I hope he does. But if he doesn't, it'll be a real bummer.
I think we also need – or Tim, I'll let you go. I don't want to cut you off.
I didn't mean to mute stuff there. I was just going to say, like, I was kind of thinking come March Madness time and everything, like, if this team is to go out and, not win it all, that might be the saddest locker room environment that we've ever witnessed, because, back then it used to be like the guys that were going off the NBA, you had, De'Aaron Fox and Bam, they were heartbroken after that buzzer beater that Luke May had hit. But was it Luke or Drake? That's Drake May's a quarterback. It's Luke May, right? Okay.
I think so.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, they were heartbroken, but, other times it's just like, they're sad, but it's like they're about to make multi-million dollars going off to the big leagues. But, these guys, a lot of them know that they're not going to. This is their last shot to do it. They're giving so much to this coach, to these fans, to this team. They really care about each other. They want each other to succeed. So if this team does lose in March, man, it's going to be so sad.
Yeah. And it's his first year, though. Like, it's like they were just saying, what do you find successful with this team is making the tournament first or second weekend. Like, you threw a roster together that quick. Like, these guys truly love being at Kentucky, and they know this is probably their 1 year. But, like, yeah, anything in March past the first weekend is like, okay, we didn't know we were bargaining for all of this. That would be really heartbreaking.
Yeah, and I think, like, they know how unique of a situation this is. Like, the portal, every roster is new and there's turnover and stuff, but this is just a completely brand new team. You had a whole group of misfits coming in with a new coach. Everything's brand new, and they could sense how much this fan base is just craving some sort of success. They've just had nothing since 2019, not getting out the first weekend of the tournament. Like, they're just desperate for something, and they're in full support of this team. And I think the players know that, and they feel it. I think they're loving it. They have to be loving this whole season. They don't want it to end. They want these home games, and they're feeling like kings, especially for all the guys that were at smaller schools like a Drexel or a Fairleigh Dickinson, or stuff like that. And that the team's obviously going to look a lot different next year. I wonder if Otega could come back. I wonder if he'll go pro. We were talking about it.
His draft improved the most out of anybody on Kentucky, I think. Like, this is his year to go, I would say. I would love for him to be back, though.
Yeah, everyone's out of eligibility besides, like, Garrison, who should be back, even though they kind of give him draft buzz based on potential. But I feel like he probably has to come back another year. If you have him coming back with Malachi, and then you got Jasper, and, then you get Otega and, Caden Lewis, Jasper, that team would be nice. And then they're hoping for Caleb, right? But he still hasn't committed. What's this, Caleb Wilson, right?
Yeah.
So he's the 5-star. That team could be nice next year. But if you get Otega back next year, with Garrison, like, that would be huge. But yeah, and then Trent and Travis will be back. So could Travis start next year? Like, you'd hope so. Travis and Jasper, or do you have to have Caleb Wilson starting? I mean, I don't know. Caden would come off the bench. I don't know how that would work, but Otega would start, and then Garrison would start. I don't know if Malachi would start, but yeah, they would figure that out. They should be good next year, but this is a really special ride, and it would just be devastating. Like you said, Timo, if it just, like, ended in the second round and, like, they still don't get out of the first weekend, it's like, oh my gosh, after all this love and this dream season, and you just, like, fall short again. But I don't think they will. I think at this point they proved they're a Sweet 16 team. At least I think they're a second weekend team. They they haven't had that shocking loss where they're just kind of swept up. Like Georgia's a good team. They're probably in that tier too. They're going to make the tournament and they're ranked, right? They're 23rd now and they're a good team. So UK hasn't had this swept up loss besides Clemson, but Clemson should still be a tournament team. And, so I don't think they're going to lose to I don't think UK is going to be a 4 seed and lose to a 13. I don't think that's possible. I think the way they can hit shots on a neutral floor, they proved that they can do that besides the Ohio State game. And they, I think, will be able to hit those against the 13 seed. And then the 4 plays – who's the 4 play? 4 plays the
12.
The 5 and 12? Yeah.
4 plays 13. 4 and 13? 4 and 13.
The 4 and 13, and then the plays the 5 and 12.
Yeah. I'm not sure.
Right? And then they would play the 1 in the Sweet 16, which is tough. Because you don't want a rematch against Duke, in the Sweet 16. I mean, that'd be wild, but I don't think you want that. You don't want to see them again. But so you hope they can sneak up to a 3, then play the 2. I think they can make a run. I don't know if they can make a Final Four. They could, they could win it all if they make 16 threes a game, right? But that's just not going to happen in March. But it's really impressive that they made 16 threes on the road. So that's what I was saying to your question, Trace. That Mississippi State win's huge. Top 3, at least, true road game. You knock down 16 threes. If you can do that in March, you're good. But either way, I do think that they can make the Sweet 16.
Michael and Tim, I want to hit on a subject that I truly, truly want your all's thoughts on. I'll go first to give you time so I don't just throw it at you, but I really want your thoughts and how you actually feel about this. And Michael, I love your perspective where you're not like a homer like we are. You keep it neutral, and that's good for the show. It's awesome. But kind of hit back on an old point that's been the talk since last April. Just kind of right now where we're sitting of how great this has went with Mark Pope. You had the Clemson and Ohio State loss, but you have on the other hand, you have those 2 losses. On the other hand, you got the 5 top 15 wins. Could potentially have a 6th one this Saturday. The Louisville game got improved from a quad 2 win to a quad 1 win today, so you got to add that to the books. But anyways, my point being of last night, with Arkansas going 0-4 and literally are sitting in last place in the SEC, Cal and the way they got beat with a former Wildcat with Damian on LSU blocks to do 0 to end the game, and I could really, really see the shift online of Arkansas fans last night on Twitter. They're all saying that was the breaking point of okay, we're last in the SEC. Kentucky fans are right. And again, I'm not trying to beat up on Cal. He was my hero for years, but for anyone, there can't be anyone left now that thinks that wasn't the right decision. I mean, we would not be where we are if Cal was here, no matter what recruiting class we had. And just, Arkansas fans, it's just how far it's came. And I don't think anybody could have predicted Arkansas to have that bad of a path and Kentucky to have this good of a path. And we're only 3 months into the season, man. It just mind blows me of the 2 extreme opposites it's been in our favor. Let's get your all's thoughts. Whoever wants to go first on that.
Yeah, Peter, go ahead, Tim.
I was going to say, I mean, you're right about it being perfect. I still think, some fans are in a honeymoon phase a little bit. I mean, with everything being so brand new and also kind of seeing how unsuccessful Cal has been down there. But hey, I mean, it feels pretty sweet to see Cal not doing so well, and we're doing pretty damn good. And a lot of people were questioning if this was the right move. Not with just hiring Pope, but losing Cal and basically replacing him with Pope, who doesn't have that extensive of a resume, really. So it's amazing to see it working out in our favor in front of our eyes, and you just gotta hope come February 1st, we kick those Hogs' ass, because if not, the narrative may kind of turn around with those Arkansas fans.
Yeah, I think you're in pretty good shape, and for that one, I think that's going to be a win, but you never know. I mean, Boogie's going to come in motivated, and that dude's a dog. I mean, Boogie Fland is a dog, but yeah, the rest of the team really isn't that great. Billy Richmond isn't what they thought. The rest of that recruiting class would have been really good. I haven't seen how Quaintance is doing, but Jaden Quaintance over at, I think, Arizona State, but
Yeah.
he would have been good. Samto Cyril, we saw him against Georgia. Obviously he's a good big and can throw down some thunderous dunks. So he would have been good to have. Carter Knox, I haven't seen how he's doing.
Adu Thiero has been nice though. I'm jealous of that.
Right, but I'm just saying the freshman class that Cal was going to bring in, like it was them 5 and then Travis. So yeah, obviously you're happy with how things have gone. That Duke win really was like, wow. Yeah. That solidified it. Like Pope came in and just beat Duke right away. Like that was something. So, but it's gonna just come down to March, because even if Arkansas doesn't make the tournament, that'll just be funny and haha. But at the end of the day, like, what if you go out in the first round? Then it's like, okay, well, we went nowhere, right? All the love was for nothing. Yeah. And so you got to wait and see. Yeah, it's funny now. If Cal comes in here and they just score 100 points, like that would be insane, and they beat you. Like I think that's extremely unlikely, but you still got to come in and handle business. Now the current players that like Cal and Arkansas, like that game doesn't really mean a lot to them. It's for them, like it truly is just another game, because like they don't care. None of them were on this team last year, or like none of them were recruited by Cal besides Travis. So, they understand the moment for the fan base and winning that game for them, but they themselves aren't going to have extra nerves. They're just going to go out there and hoop, and I think they're going to have a fun win. But it'd be funny if they put up 100 on Cal. Like that would be fun. But then we were wondering, who was it? You guys asking me, or someone was asking me, like, if that happened and Cal lost, would Cal come and do the presser with us?
Yeah, it was me. It was no. I don't know. Me, Mario, and Dylan Ballard were talking about that after yesterday's game, just thinking about that game, and like it. Just, I mean, he has history of not doing the media stuff, so I think if he wins, oh boy, he's gonna strut out there. He's gonna sit down with a smile on his face. If he loses, we may not see him.
I wonder. He's got to do it though. After like all of us in the media that covered him, like he's got to do it. He's got to suck it up and do it. But who knows? It would be a really fun press conference if he did. But I wouldn't be surprised if he just ditched it. That would be kind of the on brand after he was like kind of ditching the, our weekly availabilities to have the assistant coaches do it. And, yeah,
Michael. So I was for both of you. I was talking to someone today, like literally today, about I've not thought this way until actually this point of the season. For a while it was the circle was around. You've got to be Arkansas, lose every game. You got to be Arkansas. But I think people aren't putting this together. Is the reason why is because you lose. We saw months and months down the road. If you lose to Arkansas, then you have the was this the right decision? Was this the right decision? Well, I confidently think we're going to beat Arkansas. Picture this: if Arkansas was to come in here and beat this Kentucky team, everything's going great all the way up to it, and everything goes pretty well after it as well. I still am not going to be in the category of like, oh no, we lost the coach. He come in and beat us. That wasn't the right decision. So almost it's as like if Cal and Arkansas was to win, it's not as much of a scary thought as it was when we first saw it on the schedule. And I don't know if people really have thought about that so far. I just kind of realized that today. I still think we're going to win. The sky's not falling if we lost to Arkansas. It's your worst loss of the year at that point,
it's kind of a bad loss, and it kind of knocks you down on a seed line. But yeah, the fans want it, man. It doesn't matter. Even if they want it, man, they cannot stand the thought of Cal coming in here and leaving with the victory. So you got to win that game. You just have to. It's
at least in my like I agree with you, but at least in my opinion, what fueled that opinion for me was the thought of, was this the right thing? Our coach that we lost came and beat us. Like, oh no, like that kind of fueled it. And now I don't feel that way anymore. Yeah, we about to win it. I'm still as passionate about it, but like that fueled that opinion for me until just now.
Yeah, but at the end, March is all that matters. And if you beat Cal and you win all these other games, but then you lose in the first round or second round, then then it wasn't a failure. Then you wonder, oh, did we make? You don't wonder, did we make the right choice? I think yes, the choice is pretty clear now. Like obviously that, even regardless of the Arkansas game, I think it's pretty clear Pope is the guy and has done a great job, and hopefully will continue to do a great job. But if they lose in the first weekend of the tournament, then it will not be as nice. So you just got to show up when it matters most. Now, I do think an SEC tournament win would help, like winning that SEC tournament championship would help him. And then even if you lose in the second round, like at least you won something. Like because Cal, that was the tournament that didn't matter, right? We only care about one. So if you go and win in Nashville, then that's impressive. Not only to just finally win something in March, but also because that's going to be the toughest conference tournament to win. And if you emerge from that, it's almost like, oh my gosh, you're going to go through such a battle that weekend. You almost have to get a top 4 seed in that tournament to not have to play till Friday. Because if you have to play Thursday and you have to play 4 SEC teams in 4 days, then not only are you just probably not going to win all 4, but you're also going to be so beaten up when you have to go and play a week later in the first round of the tournament. So you almost like kind of worry about that. You really need a top 4 seed to just go Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Because, playing Thursday and, oh my gosh, think about it. 4 SEC teams in 4 days. Like, that's going to be a nightmare. So top 4 seed would be nice. I don't know if UK can win the regular season SEC championship. It would be nice. And I guess we'll see, starting with this one. And then they'll win at Vandy. And then if you can win at Tennessee, then you really got a chance to win that.
How excited are you all for the SEC tournament? Because I know all 3 of us went last year, and by Friday night, we was like, I guess we'll hit Broadway the rest of the weekend. We all went out to Broadway back-to-back nights. This year, we're likely going to get basketball in multiple nights and not just one. I'm foaming at the mouth in excitement to get to Nashville already. It's my favorite thing the entire year. And this year, our 3 experience seems it's probably going to be a little different, hopefully.
As a fan, last year sucked, but it was still fun. We had our fun, but even like going and seeing the games that were going on. I mean, as media, you get to go there and just watch basketball all day long as you can find a seat. Oh man, it's going to be so good this year. Other than like Arkansas, and I don't know really who Vandy has played. I know they're starting off pretty hot this year, but it's going to be close matchups.
Texas isn't looking too good either.
Texas too.
They're 1-3, I think.
See, I always forget Texas and Oklahoma. They're in this now. That's going to be odd to see.
Yeah, Oklahoma's solid, but Texas 1-3. I think South Carolina's 1-4. So those will be the Wednesday teams. There'll be one more Wednesday game, obviously, with extra teams, and then Thursday, and then then it'd be nice if you don't have to play till Friday, but. Yeah, I don't know. You could just go one and done again. If you get matched up with, like Georgia again, right? And you just don't hit your shots again, or so. I don't want to see A&M really again if they got Wade. I mean, you got lucky you didn't have Wade Taylor. Now I think you still could have won that game even if Wade wasn't in, but Wade can put up buckets, and the Aggies were just struggling to score there in the second half, and. They made everything first half, right? More threes than they average per game. They made in the first half, but then just got cold in the second. If you had Wade, you're not going that cold. So I don't know if UK was going to be ready to, go 40 minutes there, but they did it. You don't want to see them again. You really don't want to see any of these teams. You just want to hope in the tournament that matters that you don't have many SEC teams in your region and can just kind of power through there. But March is fun. I'm excited, but I think we still got to be a little cautious so far. You're feeling good now, but if you can win this Bama game and then win at Tennessee, then you can really start to feel confident. But I feel like it's still a little ways away. They've shown that they can have these bad games, but as I said, they didn't have like a awful slip up, like the UNC Wilmington game last year. It was like you lost to UNC Wilmington at home, and then had some other bad losses throughout that season. And then what do you know? You lose to Oakland. Like, well, you lost to UNC Wilmington at home, so losing to Oakland isn't that crazy. Now, the Cats don't have that bad loss. Ohio State isn't a great loss, but, the Georgia loss and the Clemson losses aren't that bad. So I feel like they're kind of set up to not have like a crazy loss that would just be stunning. I think they're set up to do something nice.
Tim, you got any final thoughts before we wrap this one up? This is probably one of our longest podcasts, but it felt good to get all this off our chest and talk some good basketball.
Yeah, I don't have too much. We got Alabama next. Like I was saying, I think that's a good chance to be a shootout. I think Rupp's going to be packed. It's going to be a fun one, I think.
That was the Justin Edwards game. If for ones who might have forgotten, 10 for 10 last year against Alabama, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then Nate Oates came out and said, "There's your starting five," and we never had that starting five again.
Yeah.
That Alabama team went to the Final Four. I think Nate Oates might have known what he was talking about.
Did he say that? That's funny. I wasn't at that game.
Because the whole like Reed and Rob stuff was still going on as hot as ever, and he came out in his post game press conference, and somebody threw a stat at him about this five was this and this. It was really great. He goes, "Well, I think I helped you find your starting five." Those exact words. And that starting five never got started the rest of the season. Never. But anyways, it is what it is.
I feel like they should have started one of them, but they didn't have to start both. You had to start DJ. You promised him to start, and you coached his Cal. What, coach his dad or what was it? Yeah, and like you couldn't bench him. But you should have. Who was it? It was DJ. Who started at the 2? And then
Edwards, Antonio.
Antonio, yeah. It was DJ, Antonio, and then then Justin. So you could have benched Justin. You really probably should have, and you could have went. It's guard heavy, but you could have went. DJ, Reed, and Antonio.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's tough. But yeah, they were best with Reed and Rob and Antonio. Yeah, it's tough.
It is what it is.
Antonio was so good, man. He was destined to just carry you throughout March. You just needed somebody else to help you out.
That meme of that superhero sitting on his bed looking at that picture frame and he's shedding a tear. That's that team, man. That's what I'm talking about. Y'all know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, you're talking about Wolverine.
Oh, I think you are. Yeah,
See, my thought is we wouldn't be here if it hadn't gone the way it did.
That's a good point.
I'm happy with it. No
point but if you would you take now or would you take a title last year?
Title wise. Wait, hold on. Well, then we.
Hey, give me a. If you're guaranteeing me a title this year, I'm taking it.
Well, think about long term though. You get a title last year, and you get probably a couple more years of bad. He got it lucky in a way. Not lucky. You can't really win a title off luck, but one stretch. Or Mark Pope's future looks. We might get 5 or 6 good years. I don't know. That's a hard question. I'd take a title. If you made me pick right now, I'd take a title. It's all about titles. We'd get our 9th, be good for another decade type of thing.
That team last year was good enough to win a title.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and they went 0-2 in the postseason.
If you could have taken a title there for Reed gets a title. You're building a statue.
Yeah, that's true. That's the storybook.
And Cal gets his second, and then you're thinking, what?
That's it. He wins a title and he's out.
No, I don't think so. Because then you got the big recruiting class coming.
But I think Cal would be done after that second title. Then he's out, and then we still get Pope. I'm taking it.
Think about all the money he could use.
He's not going anywhere with all that.
Sit there and say, "I want another title. Give me some more money."
But there's a lot of rumors saying like that. This is his last. DJ Wagner full circle with his dad, best recruiting class of exactly how he wants. This could be his last year. And I would if you made me say today on record, if they would have won a title, I'm confident Cal wouldn't have been here next year. That's just me. I don't know.
No, I think he would have. He got a good recruiting class coming in. He had a lot of money on the table. And I feel like he only really left because he got bounced that first round. Like, if he made the Sweet 16, I think he was coming back.
Uh,
I think he finally got out the first weekend. Mitch would have brought him back. He would have came back. I think I think the way it happened is the only way he was leaving.
yeah.
And I think if he came back, I think he could have got Reed to come back. I say it now, and I said it back then, and I'll say it now. If Cal stayed and got DJ to stay, and Antonio was going to go, Rob was going to go, maybe you could have got Justin, but Justin was probably going to go. But you had the recruiting class coming in, you had Adu coming back. You could have got Reed to stay.
Even with the draft projection, do you
Yeah,
believe that?
I think Cal could have got him to stay with how good the team was, because the only reason Reed would have stayed was to try to win a title. And if he knew, because he knew he was going to get picked high, he'd get picked high next year. So the only reason he'd come back is for Kentucky. He loves Kentucky, wants to win, just like his dad. He could have came back, and he would have had a good chance to win a title with Cal coming back, with that recruiting class, with everyone coming back besides Rob and Antonio. Then he could have came back, but he knew this year's team, with what Pope was going to put together, was not going to be as good as what Cal could have had. And Reed knew that Pope wasn't going to put together a team good enough to win a title. So he said, all right, I'm just going to go. I know I'm not going to win a title. Now you look at it like, if Reed was on this team, they for sure would have a chance to win a title. I mean, like, now you don't get Lamont. We've talked about this already. Like, you don't get some guards. You probably don't get Lamont. But if you put Reed on this team, you had a good chance to win a title. And I think Reed, if he knew he had a good chance to be one of the best teams in the country and go out there and win a title, he maybe would have thought about coming back, and Cal would have gotten him to come back. Maybe.
So are you saying if they would have won a title last year, Reed would have came back? Is that what you said?
Well, if they made like the Sweet 16 or whatever.
Okay.
And Cal comes back, huge recruiting class coming in, Adu's coming back, and Big Z and Ogana, and then maybe you get Justin Edwards to come back, but probably not, because the freshmen have to come in, so that they got to go. But like, that team was going to be really good with Boogie. So like, picture Reed and Boogie. I mean, that's your backcourt. It's like, whoa, and on top of what else you got, and I think there's a chance that Reed could have came back. But, because I wonder what he thinks right now. He's getting no minutes. It kind of sucks, right? When
his pockets are getting fat, though.
Yeah, for sure. His pockets would have got fat here, too. You don't think Jack came forward and all these companies here in Lexington wouldn't have given him all that?
They already did, yeah. They already have. That's true.
They would have brought out the Brinks trucks for him if he came back. So he would have made good money. Yeah, he's making good money now for sure. But he knew that it was waiting for him. And he was going to get picked that high if he stayed. Yeah, he wasn't going to be number one, because Cooper Flagg's going to be number one, but he could have went number 2. I mean, I'm surprised he went 3. But the class just wasn't that great. But and still happy for him that he got picked 3rd. But he would have got picked 2nd in this year's draft behind Cooper Flagg, and could have won a natty, maybe. But you never know, man. It's funny how things work out, and it worked out great. It worked out for the best. But I do think if they made the Sweet 16, Kyle was coming back. And yeah, maybe Reed leaves or whatever. But I think the way it worked out, this was the only way Cal was going to leave. And if you won last year, and that team was good enough to win, if you won, then Cal would be here forever, and Cal wouldn't be going. He would retire here, and he would have came back this year. There would have been no Pope, and you would have been perfectly fine, because you would have had no idea. And really, at the end of the day, you won the 2nd title, and Cal got his 2nd. That takes him to another level. You're back in love with Cal. Reed won 1. You're high as a kite, but it is what it is. That's my outside perspective. But
you make a good case. I hear what you're saying. You make a good case.
But it's great. I love Pope, and I'm glad he's here, and I'm glad it worked out the way it did. But
yeah, me too. Tim, I think we're hit about an hour, 10 minutes. I want to give time for you to get this thing together. I think for fans that are watching this, it's airing at 9:00 tonight. We're recording right now, and it's like
7:30.
7:30. So we're just only like an hour or so from being streamed. We're not actually live. We've been lying to you this whole time, but it's just how this stuff works. For anyone watching this, again, thank you. If we provided you any value with this basketball talk, you can subscribe and follow us for free. We don't, it's free to support us. We're not asking you for money. So just follow the Cats coverage page. Follow Michael on Twitter, Michael Epps. That's it, right? TV. Tim Smith CC on Twitter. Cats coverage is on every social media, Facebook and YouTube. The recording of this will be on YouTube. You're probably watching on Facebook, Twitter right now. I can keep going. But follow us while you're here if we provide you any value. And
yeah, no more TikTok, huh? That you might have to change that logo here in a little bit. Who knows?
Yeah. Hey, Michael, I got to ask you, do you see for y'all looking right here in our background, Michael, is that you down there on the bottom left of my screen in a blue shirt in front of that white table looking down?
Is it?
I think it is.
You're usually on the opposite side of the basket. That kind of looks like Dylan.
Oh, yeah, that's who it is.
Yeah, Michael's on the other side of the basket.
I think I'm on that side.
That's exactly who it is, Dylan, our guy, Dylan Ballard. Sorry, Michael. This whole time I thought that was you. The whole time.
Hey, if you're confusing me with that handsome guy, Dylan, I'm happy. Dylan's a heck of a guy. I love Dylan.
Sounds good. Yeah, I agree. Well, thank you all for watching, and I think we're gonna wrap this up, and we'll catch you all next time. Hopefully, after a Bama win.